Well, welcome back to the Canadian Virtual Recruiters Conference. Thanks very much for watching, and sorry for the delay again for coming on. Been a bit of a crazy technical time today for the platform on my end. So nothing more challenging than the technical side. So thanks very much, Alex, for setting things up. So what I wanted to do, I've got about 25 minutes or so until 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, where I will move things over to the next speaker as well. Now, we do have a session also going on right now. Marty Britton is on one of the sessions talking about know who you are hiring through social media check. So you want to check that out as well. Again, if you're just joining, my name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. So what I'm going to cover off in this segment is talking a little bit about the labor market across Canada and what is happening, and some trends and things that you may be interested in knowing about from a big picture perspective. So immigration in Canada. Canada has targets to hit 1.2 million immigrants in Canada over the next 3 years, 2021, 2022, and 2023. Immigration Minister Marco Mendicino says the plan seeks to fill workplace shortages and boost Canada's economy. The federal government aims to accept 400,000 new permanent residents in 2021, 411,000 in 2022, and 421,000 in 2023. He says Canada needs more workers and immigration is the way to get there. He tweeted, "Canadians understand that newcomers are playing an outsized role in stepping up to fill some of our most acute labor shortages, and that growing our population is imperative if we want to leverage the advantages we have and keep competitive on the world stage." Robert Faulkner, who is a refugee and immigration policy researcher at the University of Calgary, tweeted that if the government meets its goals, the next 3 years, so including 2021, will be the highest years on record in immigration since 1911. Ontario said of the 400,000, Ottawa says that it aims to welcome 232,000 newcomers from the economic class of immigrants in 2021. 103,000 who are family members of people already in Canada, about 60,000 refugees and other protected persons, and about 5,000 people will be accepted on humanitarian grounds. Now, obviously, the country closed our borders in Canada here in March of last year, but through August, it had settled 130,000 newcomers, which is about less than half of what the target would have been for 2020. Now, Canada welcomed just under 15,000 new immigrants in October 2020, about the same amount that it hired through, or that it brought in September of 2020. And it also showed that obviously immigration levels remain significantly lower due to the pandemic. Prior to the pandemic, we were allowing or welcoming between 25 and 35,000 new immigrants per month. So that works out to about 300 to 350,000, give or take. So again, bumping up immigration 400,000. Now, from the job numbers, interestingly enough, one of my favorite days of the month is when the Canadian job numbers come out. The US job numbers come out usually on the same day, which is usually the first Friday of the month. Now, what we've gone through over the last year has been nothing short of unbelievable, of course. In January and February of 2020, Canada had the lowest unemployment rate ever recorded in Canadian history, just over 5%. In March of last year, we lost 1 million jobs. In April, we lost 2 million jobs. So a total of 3 million jobs. In May, we grew to over 13% unemployment rate, which was the highest unemployment rate ever recorded in Canadian history. So we basically went from the lowest unemployment rate in Canadian history in February of 2020 to the highest unemployment rate in Canadian history in May of 2020. Now, through the course of the summer and into the fall in Canada, we actually did pretty well. We created jobs. There were some months that had some incredible job growth. And then in November and December, we had a bit of a snag. We got down to 8.5% unemployment rate. In December, we got up to 8.6%, so a slight increase there. And then we got up to the end of December, and obviously better than the 13%. unemployment rate that we got into in May, but certainly a far cry from the over 5% that we were at in January and February of last year. Now, in January, this is when things didn't go so well for Canada. The economy in Canada lost 213,000 jobs, and that brought the level of employment to the level since August, lowest level since August. So we really took 6 months, 5-6 months step backwards. Declines in part-time employment mostly occurred amongst youth between the ages of 15 to 24. It went down about 10%. And females that are in the core working age of 25 to 54 also dropped by 10%. And employment declined in 3 service-producing industries, really due to public health. Accommodation and food services down 8%, retail trade was down 7%, and culture and recreation down 2%. And the number of people working in healthcare and social assistance was really little changed, and increased by 0.7%. Bringing employment in the sector back to pre-COVID levels. And if you look at some industries, they're really recovered right back to where we were pre-COVID. We've got industries like professional, scientific, technical services, finance, insurance, real estate, rentals. These industries have come back to where we were in pre-COVID. Now, the unemployment rate currently stands at 9.4%, the highest rate since August 2020. The job numbers for February will come out this Friday, March 12th. So just to mark your calendar, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, we'll all find out in 3 days where the job numbers are at for the month of February. And we'll give some updates at our future virtual conferences, recruiters conference, and so on. But Canadian economists have been asked, where is the future for jobs? And they say that in 2021, we could have rapid market changes and positive job creation, but a lot of the growth is going to be dependent on when the vaccines roll out, and a wider feeling generally in the population that the pandemic is coming to an end. There's an economics professor at Concordia University, Moise Lander, who said that it wouldn't be surprising to have a churn and burn in the economy. This is a rapid flow of old jobs lost and new jobs being created. So in other words, the overall unemployment rate kind of may not change dramatically, but Canadians will be on the move from one opportunity to the next. And some of the other predictions that some economists have said is that there will be a boost in auto jobs as people move out of the city and buy vehicles to get around. And they've also talked about growth in logistics as companies strategize new ways of doing business during and post-pandemic. And they also estimated that there'll be an increased demand for mental health and physical health services that could also translate into new jobs. So let's have a quick look at Canada's employment overall. We are at a situation where we have 17.5 million people who are employed in Canada. There's 18.5 million people who are employed. There's 1.8 million people who are unemployed right now in Canada. The unemployment rate for youth 15 to 24 years of age is at a staggering 17.7%, really high. In fact, it's almost double of what the Canadian national average is. The unemployment rate for Canadians who are between 15 to 69 who belong to a population group designated as a visible minority was 9.9%. So again, just over the national average. The unemployment rate for workers over 55 years of age stands at 7.9%, so below the national average. And the province with the lowest unemployment rate across Canada, you want to take a stab at it? Lowest unemployment rate across Canada province is Quebec at 6.7%. So really low there. Quebec City is also the city with the lowest unemployment rate of all metropolitan areas. I think they look at 33 metropolitan areas. So the unemployment rate for Quebec City is 4.1%. On the flip side, the worst province, unemployment rate-wise, is Newfoundland and Labrador at 12.3%. And Barrie, Ontario, just north of Toronto, has the highest unemployment rate of any metropolitan area across Canada, and it sits at 12.1%. Toronto, in case you're wondering, is at 10.7%, and Vancouver is at 7.4% unemployment rate. Now we are going through what's being described and named as a she-cession or a she-recession, shortened to she-cession. The reason for that is the majority of the jobs that have been lost in Canada have been female. And a lot of the female-dominated industries have been hardest hit by the pandemic. That includes retail, hospitality, travel and tourism, food services, and so on. So that's why they're calling it the She Session. Now, about 60 to 65% of jobs that were lost were female, and not surprisingly, about 60 to 65% of the jobs that are coming back are also female. Now, in 2008 and 2009, if you're old enough to remember, we had a recession back then, a pretty hard recession that was part of the credit crisis. And back then, we had a situation where the most of the jobs, 60 to 65% of jobs, were male-dominated, or a lot of jobs lost were by males. Those ones, so we call that the he session or a he recession. Now, that was a manufacturing industry. A lot of jobs were lost in the manufacturing industry. So as far as if you have any questions you want to ask, you can throw them in the event or in the stage chat. If there's something that you're not sure about, you're totally welcome to ask away. So some other comments about the Canadian labor market, and I've got about 10 minutes left here. Canada's recovery is a K-shaped recovery, meaning sometimes you have a V-shaped recovery where it goes down and then it goes up, sometimes L where it goes down and then it stays the same for quite a while, and sometimes it's a W where it goes up and down, up and down. We're in the midst of a K-shaped recovery, so a very fancy K, if I can draw it out here. I'll just draw a little K here. And this shows a K-shaped recovery. The top end of the K are industries that have done well and companies that have done well. So think of Zoom and Amazon and Netflix. And then on the bottom end of it, you're dealing with those industries that have been hardest hit: travel, tourism, hospitality, and so on. Now, these are a lot of vulnerable workers. These are a lot of part-time people. These are a lot of hourly workers as well. So unfortunately, there's really a split in where things are happening in the jobs market. And on the upper end of the K, you have high earners who can do business remotely or have capitalized on pandemic trends, like I mentioned with Zoom and Netflix and so on. But unfortunately, like I said, the lower end of that is the face-to-face, interactive part-timers, hourly workers, and so on, younger employees in general as well. Now, people working from home. At the height of the shutdown in April, just over 40% of Canadians worked at least half their usual hours at home. As the labor market improved, that number dropped to 25%. So 1 in 4 Canadians were working from home through the summer, spring and summer. And then as the number of COVID cases went up, we went up to about 29% of people working from home. Suspect that when the stats come in for January, that rate will certainly go up. In fact, we had 700,000 more people working from home in January than we did in December. So about 5.5 million people, Canadians, are working from home right now. And you probably know that COVID-19 is hurting women's careers. We've got research from LinkedIn that found that female employees are being disproportionately more stressed than their male counterparts. 74% of women suffer from employment stress last month, compared to 57% of men. One theory, obviously, this could be linked to the notion that COVID-19 is overtly more damaging to women's career aspects, and we've kind of know that. If you're in the recruiting world, you know that. A lot of family responsibilities have fallen disproportionately on females. They're staying home to look after kids and look after the family. And unfortunately, that has hurt a lot of women's careers. And by extension, mental health has become one of the top issues, of course, in Canada as well. So if you have employees, or if you're trying to recruit employees for your organization, you may want to connect with, let them know about what programs that you have available for mental health, perhaps some employee programs that might be available as well within your organization as well. So just make sure to let them know about that. Now, the World Bank put out a report in 2021. It talked about the global economics prospects, and it said that it is warning that the next decade could be a lost decade, especially for countries that failed to get on top of the pandemic early. Besides the immediate damage to the economy caused by interruptions to trade and commercial activity and job loss, the World Bank worries that such factors as piling up huge debt and a breakdown in education will result in a prolonged deterioration in economic prospects and jobs and so on. So that's it in a nutshell in terms of what's going on in the industry. If you have any questions you want to ask, just feel free to throw them in the event or stage. If not, I am going to wrap things up. We've got about 5 minutes left before our next sessions start up. You don't want to miss the next speaker, Wahida, who's going to be talking about employment law. So they're always a good topic with employment law. I will be back in half an hour to talk about the on a panel. I've got a great panel lined up. We've got some excellent panelists that are going to be sharing the stage with me. I'll be here on the main stage. I got James Adam, Chief Talent Officer at Adams Limitless. Dina Stevenson, is Manager Talent Acquisition at Canadian Tire Corporation. Ricardo Earl, Research Analyst, Talent Acquisition at Hudson's Bay. And Denny George is Talent Advisor and Talent Acquisition Partner at CIBC. So I'll be moderating. You can ask questions. We'll have a good chat with everybody there. And I really want to thank you for being here and for being on this event. Don't forget to take our polls. You can, with one click, you can just go on there very quickly, very easily. It's one click to answer, and hopefully you've had an opportunity to check that out. Don't forget our expo area on the bottom left-hand corner. There's expo where you can check out some products and services that might help you in your organization, and also the networking area as well. I'm going to head on over there right now. So hopefully I can connect with you, have a one-on-one conversation as well. And I think that's it for now. So thanks very much for being on, and wish you luck. We have about 1 hour and 4 minutes left in the event today. All you have to do is just navigate around, check different areas. You'll uncover some little treasures where you can connect with people and so on. So thanks very much. There's still a few minutes left in Marty's presentation as well. So you can hop on over there, and look forward to connecting with you maybe through the networking area. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you back here on stage in half an hour. Thank you.